Okay. Oh dear, I had my microphone muted that whole time. Sorry about that. I'm a few minutes late. I was just saying that today we're reading Reuben Facey's Big Picture, a gangster comedy written by Richard T. Lynch. As always, this is the first time I've read the script. Someone asked me recently, very recently, about 10 minutes ago, why don't you read the whole thing and then go back and make more comments on it? Because that way you would know what the whole story is and maybe you could be more insightful. That's a great idea, except A, I don't have time to read the whole script. I'm just busy with life. And B, I'm approaching this like someone would at a agency, or if you send it out for coverage or something where literally it'll just get read once. And so I welcome other people doing this because it's kind of interesting to do, but this is what I'm doing. So let's get started. All right, here we go. And this was just sent recently. I think Richard maybe updated it, so that's always fun. All right. I always start out with nitpicky things that I'm sure the writer does not like. I would not, I don't think that is something that I would ever see because you've got a title page, which is awesome. Although, having said that, I would not use this fancy font. I would always use this. And even this is like a lighter version of it. So keep it simple. Don't give anyone any reason not to read your script. All right. Busy intersection day. Super 1929. Old time yellow cabs. Avenue U. Million pedestrian. The loose midi dresses. And the women all have on loose midi dresses. Interesting. Stony Miller Wiley. Nervous. I don't know that I would put nervous in a character description. Certainly. I'm getting a FaceTime. I'm going to ignore it. Yes on the 20s. Yes on wiry. I would not put nervous there. Surveys fruit at a corner groceries. So he holds up a tomato. Do we know that this is a signal? Maybe we will. He's looking around, he holds up the tomato. Will the audience know that means the coast is clear? Not sure. Patrolman Meeker. Again, I rarely see character traits written in a parentheses like this. I would just say 40s. And show us he's... Uh-oh, it's not playing. Hold on. What's going on here? Oh, it's not playing. End stream, edit. That's interesting. It's playing on my computer. It's playing on my live stream that is like inside of... I can see it inside YouTube. Could you let me know if it's playing now? Yeah, well, So if it's not playing, that is unfortunate. And I said I was going to record it and I forgot, so I've just started recording. So if this doesn't play, I will post this on YouTube and then you can see it. According to my YouTube stream, it's working, but who knows? If you're on there and you want to put something in the chat, if you're able to, that would be great. Or I guess if someone posts something on Facebook, I will get a message. Sorry about that. So just in case I have to record this, one thing I said is that I would not put the title here because you've got a title page. And speaking of the title page, I would make this the regular Courier font. The reason being, never give anyone a reason to stop reading your script. And that may sound like, well, who's going to stop reading it just because the title is unusual? Not unusual, but in a different font. Well, you'd be surprised, unfortunately. Second thing I mentioned briefly is I would not put a character trait in parentheses describing them. Physically, yes. Age, yes. If it matters if they're black, white, purple, or green, yes. Tall, short, if that really comes into play. But show us this in their actions. Show us jovial in what he does. Don't just say he is. That it's sort of a shortcut. All right. Stony shakily lowers the fruit. Watch the copper in the reflective. Okay. I can hear Richard's fine. Okay. Copper, when I just read this and I say, oh, copper, like silver, copper, gold. So since we know his name, I would say watches Meeker in the reflective store window, just to avoid any confusion. Harry Tahoe Brahms, thick, gruff, eager. All right, I'll stop mentioning this, but one last time, I would not do that. Very small thing, but if you can get rid of is's and r's and not make it passive, make it an active voice. The driver sits beside him. Stony Dunn lowered the tomato. He conducting a symphony. I say we go. So he's talking to the boss, but we haven't seen the boss. But I believe the boss is Reuben. Trims his nails with a little unconcern. Brushes the clippings from the slabs, which contain his own heater. His lap. He's got a heater on his lap. Remember the big picture. Size. I wouldn't capitalize size. Sound effects off screen. Character names. That's pretty much, I mean, that's not me talking. That's kind of the industry talking. Rolls his eyes is fine. And this is pretty much implied. So I would leave that out. What was the, right, the big picture. What was that again? Life, the world. It's all one pot of stew, and each of us is his own chunk of food inside it. I don't feel like no stew. It's a metaphor. It must be a metaphor. All right, that's pretty clever. Stony is out there doing his part, so we can do ours without any of us getting pinched. Ooh, that's a lot without a comma. Pinching's bad unless you're doing it to a dame. Then it's fun unless she socks you. Think Abbott would give me a steak for my eyes, a down payment on his debt. Who is Abbott? Abbott's Meats. Okay, so we must have seen this sign somewhere that says Abbott's Meats. Okay, so now we think that Abbott, okay. Does he have a black eye? Oh, if she socks him, then he'll have a black eye. Then he'll need a steak. I don't know that continuous is really needed there. I think it's implied. He waves to locals. They wave back to him. Just to avoid confusion, we got waving there and hailing there. And Meeker is the policeman. No. Yes. All right. He stops it. Stony tenses. No, no. No, no capital. I don't. I mean, I get it, but I wouldn't. Because you read it like this. Stony tenses! And I think that just distracts the read and slows it down. He squeezes the pulp from the tomato. Does he wipe the pulp on his pants or the tomato on his pants? Because if you squeeze, if you squeeze pulp, it's going to run down your hand, so maybe that's what he's doing. Resumes his beat. Wait a minute. Stony does this, but Meeker does this. So this needs to be in the next paragraph. Think of this, well, depending how it's being shot, but I would think of that as a different shot. And in that way, you can sort of direct your screenplay without putting in camera things. That's how I've come to think of it and work it. But it's weird to have this right in the middle of a paragraph that is otherwise about Stoney. Taya kids. Okay, same thing here. I'll quit mentioning that, but I would strongly recommend against that. Although kids, I guess, is saying that's an actor, so sorry about that. Where's the fruits? Damn. Drops the Knox. I assume that's binoculars, but I guess I've never heard them abbreviated that way. Talks to the kid's mother. Stoney is beyond it. Not sure what this means. Is he beyond the intersection? I'm confused. He looks around for an answer. Okay, that is confusing to me. I don't know. All right, we're at a busy intersection. Meeker is talking to the kid's mother. Stoney is beyond the intersection, maybe. He looks around for an answer. I don't understand that. Spiriton rushes inside. Did I miss something here? He grabs another tomato. So he's raising the tomatoes as a sign, but he's not getting an answer as in no one is coming, maybe? So that is confusing to me. Stoney puts a record. Whoa, 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 whoa. So the camera follows him in the store? So why this should be interior, it feels like a music store. Unless we're seeing this from the outside, but then, and opens the front door wide. I don't know how loud record players were in the 20s, Victrolas, but I would be very surprised if music would blare down the street. Even if the front door was open, you could hear it, certainly, but I don't know about blaring down the street. He moves himself from the lady and makes his way into the music store. He closes the door on his way out, waves in the middle like mad. All right, so he's outside. Stoney's looking for an answer. He rushes inside. We're still on the outside looking in. We're watching him put records on a phonograph. He repeats this with other ones. How long does this take? I always have that bugaboo of a page a minute. Each line of on a page is about a second, 1.2 seconds maybe. So how long does this take? It feels like it would take 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I don't know. I'm not sure why he's doing this. He's, I guess, creating a distraction. Meeker's going into the music store, maybe to stop it. And he doesn't know that Stoney's the one who started the music. So he makes his way into the store, or does he make his way toward the store? Because if he closes his door on the way out, maybe Meeker's already inside. So I'm a little confused by this whole thing here. Yeehaw, now we're talking. Reuben taps the driver who puts the car in gear. Reuben and Tahoe roll down their windows. The gangster car tears around the corner. Reuben and Tahoe pour lead into Abbott's. Ooh. I like that phrasing, pour lead. You might, I mean, this is a case where it's sort of undersold. Open fire just so we know what's going on, and maybe some capitals there like, you know, rat-a-tat-tat or bang, bang, bang or something like that. Pedestrian field glass was there as the meat shop loses its door and window tire fire. Oh, he fires at Abbott. Have we met Abbott yet? I mean, we assume he works in this store, but we have not seen Abbott. So do we know that this, how are we going to know that this is Abbott? Not sure. The sedan books down the avenue, disappears under the elevated after. All right, so now we're somewhere totally different. Yeah, this, I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't repeat it, but I would definitely not do that. I mean, this is like, you could say that obviously in a novel or something. There's a phone in her neck. Against her neck? On her neck? With her neck. I don't know that you could cradle a phone because you cradle it with your neck onto your shoulder. She puts the file. The reason I'm nitpicking like this is because I'm just imagining myself reading this like a reader, like I said, and anytime I've got to stop and wonder what exactly is going on visually on the screen, it takes me out of the read. So that's why I'm doing it. All right, I'm going to try to be a little better about this. Mercy Veleco. It's a cool name, Mercy. Grabs the phone on her neck as she put file folders in a metal cabinet with one hand and smokes with the other. Okay, several people wait in chairs, including a masseuse with her own table. I don't know what this is. Aldine's. Is it a big business? Is it a shop? Is it a retail store? I don't know what that is. And so the fact that there's a masseuse there with her table is a little confusing. You should quit that. It's welded to my finger. I meant the filing. Oh, that's nice. Smirks. No, I would not do that. Hangs up, clicks the speaker button. Aldine. Voiceover. So typically you would put here, you would put filtered, meaning he's talking through the phone, he's talking through a speaker, and then it's not a voiceover because that's typically for narration or something, and then you save a line because you don't have to put that down there. Your rubber is here. Mr. Aldine. Also, Mr. Facey just walked in. Your rubber is here. Not sure what that is referred to unless it's the masseuse. Not sure. Send the tires. Okay, send the tires down to the shop. So again, same thing here and throughout your script. If you do it more, I would just say filtered. Get rid of this. Save yourself a line. Send all tires down to the shop and call the agency. The masseuse I ordered should have been here. Clicks off. A wicked grin winks back, beckons the masseuse. So Reuben beckons the masseuse. I would capitalize masseuse since that's a person. Goes into. All right, here we go. Isaac Aldine, 50s, balding, a bit chubby, but by no means fat. Lies half naked on the masseuse table, his face in the donut hole. She needs his back. I guess they had tables like that back then. Hunter Harvey. Yeah, I promise not to do this, but this is great for a novel, but you need to show that to us in the script, because otherwise it's just, I don't think it's going to work. Stands before a wall map of the city. Sits in the leather costume, the crossword in pen. Ooh, that's a good little character trait right there. Shows confidence. Bird, although Aldine is the one doing it for him. Third lever. Oh, I guess they're working on it together. Can we get back to the business meeting? What's the status of the new bills being enacted? One little tiny thing, and I'm sure this is not universal, but I was always taught on an ellipse to leave a space right here. So this would be how I would do it, but then this you would go ... space word. And that's how I generally see it. But again, not a big deal. Our guy got an advance look. One of the president's men is giving him trouble. But they ought to be on paper by the end of next month. Does that mean they're going to be signed up with the mob people, maybe? Our guy got an advanced look at the bills. One of the president's men is giving trouble, but they ought to be on paper. Maybe the bills are going to be on paper. Will the counter fit the plates? Okay, so is this a play on words? Is this a pun, counterfeit? Or is he bringing up a whole new subject here? All right, let's see. Will the counterfeit the plates? Aldine and Hunter glare at Reuben. You know, the counter at the dinner where the people are fed on plates. It's kind of clever that they misunderstand it because the way he said it, but I don't understand where this line comes from. It's almost like it's there for the sake of the pun. It feels like if it was set up somehow, like if they were kind of talking about two topics and Reuben brought that up, that would be kind of clever. You know, the counter on the diner where people are fed. Unfortunately, since you were talking about the government, I immediately think of Fed as in federal or the feds. All right, you know, the counter at the diner where the people are fed on plates. All right, so basically Hunter is ignoring him. As for numbers, they look good in the big areas. What about the small stuff? No dice. What about small stuff? I assume Aldine is talking about big. He's talking about what Hunter is. He's not talking about what Reuben is. As for numbers, they look good in the big areas. What about small stuff? No dice. Where exactly do wisecracks fit in your big picture? Facey? No dice. I'm not sure what he is referring to here. No dice. If he's making a joke about something, what about small stuff? No dice. If he's literally meaning no way, then is this still a wisecrack? They're giving me to do something I wait for to do. They're my other ammo. I like this line. That's a very clever line. They give me something to do while I'm waiting for something to do. They're my other ammo. Just make sure you're not aiming either kind. I would say either kind at me. I could leave out of ammo. So implied. But that's, I like this. This is a very nice turn. You want something to do, Ruby or Rube? So he calls him Rube. He calls him Facey. Might be confusing, maybe not. We're going to pay a little visit to our Manhattan competitor. Points at places on the map. So Aldine is talking, but Hunter is pointing. His boys, I'm talking like gangsters, so sorry about that. His boys, if it's not intended that way, his boys have been making sales calls up in the Bronx, and a couple of our Queens vendors says he wants to set up meetings. You want me to speak easy to some of his vendors, Isaac? We don't want the general public pissed off at us. They wouldn't mind. Manetti's booze is swill anyways. Okay. I'm not sure who this is. So the masseuse is doing her thing, or his thing, her thing. The general public wouldn't mind. Medetti's booze is swill anyways. Oh, they're speaking in code. Oh, Richard, thank you. The bills are counterfeit money. Okay, so thank you, Richard, for telling me that. So I don't know if the audience knows they're talking in code or not. All right, all right, I'm going back to the future, back to the beginning. So this is clearly just setting up the scene. The news, okay, the new bills. They're talking about counterfeit money. Well, the counterfeit, so this is a play on counterfeit. One of the guys is giving him trouble, but they ought to be on paper. So this is counterfeit money they're talking about. Counter. As for numbers, what about small stuff? Where exactly do white suits fit in? They give me something. Just make sure, I want something to do. Pay a little visit from his boys have been making sales calls up at the Bronx. A couple of our Queens vendors says he wants to set up meetings. So up here, I guess they're talking about counterfeit money. Okay. And down here, they're not, I don't think. Manetti's booze is swill anyway. He won't mind. The 3-minute freeze will wax and then stop tensing up. I like that. I'm not sure where this comes into play. It must be a well-known bar or something. One of his vendors, maybe. Maybe Manetti is one of this guy's vendors. Okay. Stop tensing up. What you said? When you said plumber would renew interest, I should have thought something other than loan sharking. Off the other's looks. When you said plumber would renew interest, I should have thought something other than loan sharking. Plumber. All right, maybe I'm a little lost. I don't really understand. Plumber is a person. Something other than loan sharking. So the masseuse is sort of knows what's going on, even though they're trying to kind of talk in code. All right, I'm going to just try to power on. Anyway, Grapevine has it, but he's got a shipment coming in tomorrow night. I want to make a demand on his supply. Ooh, I like that line. Stands, goes to the board, moves push pins. Did they have push pins back then? I guess they did. I think of those as more modern inventions. He's got 6 storage spots. Sit on them all. Get some sleep tonight, Reuben. There's work come tomorrow. All right, this is kind of a nice setup scene. Overall, I'm a little confused by that line and the whole counterfeit money thing. I think I get that in retrospect. I don't know that I would the first time through, but that is maybe because I'm not hearing their voices like they would be delivered. All right. Brownstone bedroom night. Somewhere not too far off, door bangs with door bangs play counterpoint to a series of buzzes. The melody rouses. So Reuben is sleeping. I might mention him sooner rather than later, unless we don't see him until we hear the doors and hear the buzzes. Moments later. I would not use moments later. I would just put night, because it's going to be implied that it's moments later, and I don't know that it super makes a big difference. And again, how is the audience going to know? Reuben opens the front door. Penelope Fillmore storms in, a hastily done fur coat covering a nightgown. All right, where is he? I like Penelope. It's a funny name. Reuben blinks slowly like a cat. This is cool. I like this. My favorite is blinks like a toad in a hailstorm. I don't know what a slow blinking cat. I've never heard that. I've heard deer in the headlights, but this seems like a long description to describe someone blinking. When you think of it, that's like 1 second maybe blinks. Don't just stand there, answer my question. He's here on his way. You don't know where he is. You don't know where all he is. You don't know where he is at all. This last question seems like it might be misworded. You don't know where all he is? Ronald, have you? Ronald. His name is Roland. I don't know why that's funny. I have selected this. All right, so that's their son. And so they're married. Oh, very interesting. Did I know that her last name is Fillmore. Reuben's last name is not, so you wouldn't immediately think they're married, but that's fine. I like this bit right here, and this as well. I like how you introduce the fact without doing it on the nose. Tonight he's your son, since he done stole a car like you used to. I mean, you could almost just say since he done stole a car, and maybe that would imply that's what makes him his son, because they both stole cars. So maybe you could save yourself a couple words there. Because nobody talked. He took off after I grounded him. One sympathizes with the boy. Call me if you hear from him. Oh, it's his ex-wife, Richard, checking in. Okay, again, I guess we'll find that out. It's certainly not stated there, but that's 100% makes sense. The boy calling for you from Penland storms back out. The door leans back against it. Leans against it? Leans back against it. Since you say back out, I would not maybe come up with a different word. Leans against it. Leans his back against it. Sounds from outside. So she out in her car around seconds later, there's a knock at the door. The top says, so a seconds later, so we're assuming Penelope does not see Cairo, Facey, bald, clad in a suit of denim armor. So this is the son, maybe? No, his name is Roland. So this is someone else. He's bald. I don't know. He's 14, so maybe he's another son. Let me guess, Richard. I'm going to try to guess. Don't tell me. Reuben waves him in, close the door. You follow her here. Now I fell asleep under the stairs waiting for your sorry ass. The car woke me up. I waited till they left. So there's someone in the car with Penelope. Penelope did not see him, even though he came in a second after. All right, that makes sense. I'm not going to read it. Roland is her new husband. Oh. Okay, that makes sense. All right. When you said that the son stole the car, I was thinking maybe he stole the car and drove her there, which obviously didn't make sense because Penelope hasn't seen him. All right, that is funny. Okay, his name is Roland. All right. I waited till they left. The car woke me up. You want my sorry ass to call your mother back here? Richard, if you're able to, and if you have any comments, if anyone does, I see Robert left something in the chat. If you can do that, that would be cool, just so I would get used to seeing that chat. But either way is fine. All right. You want my sorry ass to call your mother back here? No. All right, so that is their son. So I don't show up. They walk to the living room. Sits on the couch. His son pops in there. Claire, what kind of car was it? She was sweet. Maud Manor used to have a car like that. Yeah, I know. Covers his face. Cairo. Hey, don't preach. You didn't want a gangster son. You didn't. Shouldn't have been a gangster father. You didn't want a gangster son. Shouldn't have been a gangster father. I have no problem with you making the family best. This is beside creator. That's why you're my idol. So you're gonna call Ma, tell her I'm here? No. Let her sort it out, but I need my rack time. Okay. One thing that I mention on many scripts is, and this isn't a rule, and I'm not saying because I do it, you should, but ending a scene on dialogue, unless it's an obvious, like someone yells or screams and then we cut to something, I always like to leave with a visual reaction. How does his son react when he says, I need my rack time? Does Reuben stand and start toward the bedroom? And if he really needs his rack time, is he going to fall asleep in the chair, or would he sit down to begin with because they're just having this, 30-second conversation? So maybe if he lays down and then he closes his eyes, goes to sleep, I don't know, just maybe something to think about. Reuben and son, so we assume this is Cairo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's got to be it, right? Cairo. I would put his name here just to avoid any confusion. Penelope cuffs him behind one ear. Reuben. So where is Penelope? They walk to a waiting car. Is Penelope in the car? Before the trio drive off. All right. Reuben and Cairo exit the building. They walk to a waiting car. Penelope slaps him behind one ear, cuffs him. Reuben tilts his chin at the new husband before the trio drive off. So I'm guessing that the son got into the car. Oh, look at that. Hey, Robert, thanks for being here, and anyone else. Creative space. Oh, I didn't see the space up here. Richard here. I was told by an industry poll that one not need force a visual to end a scene. Just reading that in the chat. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not necessary, but it might reveal a little character because you're just thinking they're just sitting, and boom, the scene ends. As opposed to there's some reaction, there's some kind of payoff. If it is a comedy, so he closes his eyes and starts snoring, or I don't know what could happen, but it's certainly not. I've seen people do it a lot, and I guess depending on the scene. All right, so I will continue on. So this is confusing to me. I guess he got in the car, but it doesn't say it anywhere. The patrol car arrives. Meeker gets out. Reuben turns to the cop, none too happy. Mr. Meeker, yeah, I'm to escort you to the precinct of incidents and you're a person of interest. That is very funny. I've never heard that used that way. All right. So this, I mean, that I could definitely see ending on that line of dialogue unless Meeker, well, Meeker takes him in anyways, right? So Meeker slaps the cuffs on him, or I don't know, but I guess I could see that ending on that dialogue. That's very funny. All right, morning, I would just say day and night. Again, if it's sunrise or sunset or dusk or something, you know, some super important critical time. Otherwise, day is fine, because that's all, especially on an interior, that's all people need to know, really. Reuben checks his hair and teeth, a two-way mirror, then resumes what he's looking. Then remembers, flips off the mirror and he flips off the mirror and takes a seat at the lonely type table. Okay, there's getting to be quite a few characters in this. I'm not doing a character count, but I would guess that maybe we're up to 10. And when you think about any given movie, even a big blockbuster, obviously, but any given movie might have spec script. Deeply feel that using relative time descriptors. All right, well, that's fine. We can agree to disagree on that, but that's no problem. Certainly wouldn't slow down the read. So I was just saying, I don't know how many characters there are in here, but more than really 6 or 7, 8 gets to be a lot to keep track of and develop if in fact you're going to have a lot of character development through this. All right. He stands around. I thought her appointment was until Thursday. I had to move it up. The missus wants a long weekend. I hope you don't mind. There's worse to worry about. But you don't have a thing on me for that meat drive-by, and it's Bravo Sierras if you say otherwise. This must be slang. Bravo Sierra if you say otherwise. All right, maybe I'll understand that as I go on. Smiles fondly, closes the door and sits. I was about to say the big one wasn't all that long ago, but I see you retain some of the lingo. The big one meaning World War I? Maybe, and he was in the war. Bravo Sierra. It does kind of sound like military talk, but I'm speculating. I've always been a sponge, lived in the land for 2 years. Yelled and reckoned inside of a month. When I start fixing to do stuff, I knew it was time to go home. Ha, fixing. We used to live in the South, and that was a word. It was time to go home to New York. Don't fix to do. We just do. I like that. Oh, Bravo Sierra equals BS. Okay, I did not know that, but that's pretty cool. Very interesting. Right there with you. Okay, so they're kind of on the same. I mean, they don't seem to be enemies, really. Lights up, takes longer. Anyway, why are you going to bring up the war? Okay, so it is the war to say. I respected you when we fought alongside each other. Okay, this backstory, a little exposition, a tiny bit on the nose, but not too bad. That's why I hurt so much now to see you throwing your life away. Don't lose sleep. I always have. People have a habit of staying in jobs until something comes along and makes them might be, I think this is just a word is wrong. But what comes along might not be something you can handle. Might not be, just an extra B in there. Yeah, like what? Rivals for one. Word is Manhattan is looking to branch into other boroughs. Oh, Capone. I like it. Figures don't tell you all the count for months. So you were up in Jimmy Durante. Jimmy Durante? This was in the 20s, right? I don't know that Jimmy Durante was around in the 20s. Maybe, I guess maybe he was. I'm not sure when he died, but I'm sure you've done your research. Stumping for LaGuardia. Then here's your son, Carlos. Perhaps he may not have get himself out of trouble. I think this line we already know, so maybe you could delete it. Then there's your son. He might not have your ability to get himself out of trouble. Probably, I don't know that line is needed. Kid has to make his own way. That's harsh remedy for your luck. It's going to crash one of these days. Just wait. Lots of people still going off. It's wow, what? Now we have cars, planes, and air conditioning. The speed the world changes is speeding up. The pace? I don't know. Using speed twice is a little confusing. The rate of change, that doesn't sound right, but maybe there's a more succinct way to say that. You should get out now. So I kind of like this interplay because he's a detective and yet he's not super coming down hard on him. In fact, he's giving him advice because they were maybe not buddies from the war, but anyways, they were in the war together. Puts out a cigarette, blows the rest of the smoke. I'm not keeping you. Reuben stands. I like this. That's a clever answer. There's always going to be crime, so people like you will always have work. The rest of us do what we know we can. The rest of us do what we know we can. So learn something new. Thanks, teach. Oh, and what's the sound? Ostrich. Fits what that makes Fido's pal a Hoover. All right, that's clever. I like that. Reuben takes flight like an ostrich. Rim shot. Because ostriches don't fly, I don't think. All right. I like that scene. Club evening. Again, this would be night, but I'm not going to split hairs. Pulls up and emerge. Make their way to the entrance of a famed night spot. Oh, the famed night spot Cotton Club. Okay. Again, I would just say night. Eldon puffs up to make sure. Okay, Hunter. I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember who Hunter is, but I'm sure I'll remember as the scene goes on. Aldine and Hunter. Aldine puffs up to make sure. I noticed he gets Tony. Uh-oh. Here we go. Tony and his retinue? Retinue. See, is this like his posse, sort of? I'm not sure. I've never heard that word, I'm embarrassed to say. At another table, Venti. Venti spots the arrivals. See, there's getting to be, I don't know. If I wrote the characters down, there probably wouldn't be too many, but there's the other table spots around, points him out to his police chief, Spotsworth. There's another new person. So we've got two new people in this scene. Who, like Venti, is there with his wife. So now we've got more people, but the wives probably don't play are led to a third table. So we see this, and then we cut to that, and then we back to this. Are passive, you could, I'm sure, reword that just to make it not passive. Downtown street, night, evening, 3 sedans are parked. Again, I would get rid of these passive words. The other two are filled. I mean, for instance, Reuben, Tahu, and Stoney sit in the front car. The other two, or Reuben's men, fill the other car instead of are filled. Check their weapons. Get out now, Stoney. Park yourself in the phone booth. Let us know if that cargo shows up at one of the other places or if the cops come here while we're inside. Why do we always have to be the lookout? You're always nervous. It makes me stand out. That makes me stand out. The lookout makes him stand out, or being nervous makes him stand out. I guess either way it works. Everyone knows that about you. By standing out, you blend in. Ooh, very, very philosophical. That's why. Looks like I don't have to make one of those phone calls. 2 huge bucks. So he was actually going to call him, not just signal him. Okay. Maybe he like indicates, or he inclines his head, or he nods, and then we see that these 2 cars, just So we know that he sees these and that Reuben sees them also, instead of this just being coincidental. But I get it. All right. The trucks pull up to a brick building's delivery entrance. The lead driver gets out, approaches the door. If generally, and again, I'm no super authority, but unless this guy's going to have dialogue and really be a character, I would just say lead, capital L, and then small, and then driver, maybe capital D. Because otherwise, when someone reads this, they're going to go, oh, there's another character we need to cast or something. So, very small point. Get out the rear truck driver. So there's another one, honks his horn, the lead driver. So yeah, I mean, I would say capital L, capital D. Same whatever. Swanson jumps back in his truck. The truck takes off again. Reuben and his crew rush back to the sedans, and the chase is on. Ooh. Trucks lead the sedans single file down the narrow road and come to an intersection. The lead truck turns north against the town. The procession follows. So here, I mean, you might say like a series of shots, since it's obvious that this is going to be a series of shots. Not really a montage, but not super necessary, but that would give an indication that this is not just a simple scene that's taking place. Oh, wait a minute, interior sedan. So this, as it's written, this whole scene takes place inside the sedan, which means it's kind of real time. So consider that. If in fact this is taking place inside the sedan. For 2 blocks, the Dodge taps the driver and points forward to the left. The lead sedan accelerates and pulls alongside the rear truck. Yeah, this, I mean, I don't see how this could all take place inside, but that's an easy fix. Put some bullets in the rear truck's tires. One of them blows out. How many rear tires does the truck have? Oh, in the rear truck's tires. Oh, okay, sorry. The rear driver loses control, switches to a halt. A muscle sedan stops. Its crew takes over the injured driver. Takes over the injured? Oh, the injured truck. The injured truck, the truck that's got a blown tire. The lead truck turns on the side seat. The remaining 2 cars on its tail. There are fewer parked cars than on the original street. So Reuben's driver tries to pass, but the truck swerves side to side and won't let them. The truck makes another turn, heads back downtown. The muscle car comes inside, and Reuben's driver steps on the gas, goes on the outside. Truck's hard, Reuben car cuts off and slams to a stop. Arrests the car at gunpoint. Ooh, that's a nice scene. A little, maybe tiny bit confusing in that it allegedly takes place all inside the car, but that's an easy fix. Minutes later. Does it matter that it's minutes later? Will the audience know it's minutes later? Otherwise, I would just say night. Throughout, I'll stop mentioning that. The 5 vehicles. So, even though it's a spec script, not a shooting script, we need to know what 5 vehicles these are, technically speaking. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back here. Some producer, line producers are going to have to go back and say, okay, we had a truck, we had another truck, we have sedans. So even though it was sort of a pain, you would say, I would say sedan 1, 2, the red one, the blue one, whatever, pull up to the brick building, just so we know exactly what 5 vehicles those are. Considering in the real world, when this gets made, let's say this is an entirely different setup, and the prop person has to know what's going on here. Stoney hoofs it to the phone booth as the others open the door and drive the trucks inside. So he is going to the phone booth after all. Warehouse cover. Reuben. Okay, cover Reuben as the enforcer opens. Is the enforcer a person? If so, this should be capitalized. The back of one of the truck boxes. Some of the cases have holes. Tahoe cracks open a case, takes out a bottle. They bottled their liquor to look like ours, boss. They trying to sell their stuff in our joints, maybe? More like they're planning to park it by one of our warehouses and ran us out to the cops, send us up the river so they can walk in. Ooh, very clever. I like that. I like that dialogue, and I like their clever plan. So let ourselves foist this rat piss. Foist, that's a great word. Not on your life. Let's get rid of it. All of it. All right. Reuben and his men go to town. So this, I'm not going to say I'm guilty of this because that makes it sound like it's wrong, but when you think of it visually, what does that really mean? That's describing what's going to happen right here. So strictly speaking, you could just say Reuben and his men toss cases from the da-da-da-da-da-da, and because go to town isn't visually, nothing is happening during that sentence. It's just describing what's going to happen next. But this is really good. I like that a lot. Stoney stands outside the phone booth, looks back and forth, up and down. The phone rings. Stoney jumps out of his skin, enters the... So he's in... Okay, he's outside the booth. Answers the phone. Yeah, Stoney lets his eyes go wide. He hangs up. The phone rings again. Stoney picks it up. Evening. A man stands on the... Because evening... obviously, evening implies that maybe it's not dark, and so maybe it's important that it's not nighttime. I don't know. Although, that's not always true, because in the winter, an evening would be dark. A man stands on the hood of a truck, winds up like a baseball pitcher, lobs a bottle to the other truck where Tahoe stands with a bat. Who is this? I don't know who this man is. I don't know if it matters. It's just odd that he has no title or anything. Reuben. Okay, Reuben is the enforcer. Richard just informed me. So I would just say that maybe. Oh, they cover Reuben as he. I would just say he. That's just a tiny little thing right here. Just again to avoid confusion, but maybe people won't be confused. So a man, we don't know who the man is. Tahoe swings a bat, smash the bottle, follow through. The bat is, gone. Could make a Babe Ruth reference because this is in Babe Ruth's heyday, I believe. One thing, very, very small thing, is that in the real world, not that scripts are the real world, people usually don't use other people's names unless it's super necessary. So this is a tiny little thing. But what's the matter? Question mark. Cops? Because we know who he's talking to, probably. One was the guy outside Mancy's warehouse at Harlem. 2 trucks of new liquor just showed up there, so he has 2 shipments. Smart. He's one after one of them. Maybe not because the other guys were robbing us while we were here in the city. While we're here in the city, Mantiti's guy is robbing us blind there. So this took place in the past. While we were here in the city, was robbing us blind there. It just feels a little wordy. I get it. I like it. It just feels a little wordy. Look. Ruin into look at each other, look at the alcohol cars in the back. So basically, they've been wasting a lot of time there when they should have been doing something else. Does the fastest... I'm not sure what to make of this. Reuben does the fastest slow burn ever. It feels like a clever way of saying something that I'm not quite sure what. He's just getting super angry, stumbles outside like an angry zombie. Yeah, I kind of get it, but again, it's one of those things that makes me stop and think, even though it's pretty clever. I think it's clever. I don't know if he's drunk. Is that why he stumbles or not? I don't think he is. Tears out of there. So he gets in a car. Tahoe's not in the car. This don't look like the Tahoe. The man goes after him. Stoney runs across to the phone booth. I assume he takes a couple of men, gets in a car, and goes after him. It doesn't say that, but I would say that's implied. Ruth made the 20s roar. Yes, he did. Thank you, Robert. The crowd is enthralled. Again, this, to me, this, it just, there's all these caps I just could personally do without. Tap dancers back by brass band. A waiter plugs a phone into a wall and sets it by Aldine. Aldine nods for Hunter to take it in the hall. Where is Hunter? Hunter, Aldine is sitting somewhere. This is a very small thing. I mean, just logistically consider, where is Hunter in this scene? Is he sitting next to Aldine? Is he standing? He just sort of appears there. Hunter gets into a phone booth, picks up the phone. So he plugs a phone into a wall, and yet Hunter is taking the call in a phone booth. I don't understand how that works. I'm sure it's a way it worked back in the times, but okay, Stoney, I got it from here. All right, so Stoney just called. This is always a bugger for me of how do you describe someone getting an idea, how visually, and I've come up with a lot of bad ways to do it, but I think gets an idea is probably as simple as can be. Hunter slides back in. So he picks up the phone. We don't know who he calls, but he slides back into his table. Okay, the waiter removes the phone, plugs it near the cop table. I don't know where these are in relation to each other geographically. Excuse the beep, it's just our water filter. So he plugs in the phone and he picks it up. Detective Markle, his eyes wide, contain his glee. So he must have called, whatever Hunter did, it must have affected this. I'm guessing. Reuben parks outside a dark lit warehouse. He brandishes a gun as he knocks on the door. It cracks open. Interior Harlem. So this is, so maybe exterior Harlem warehouse, just so we know that this is the same location, just inside. Now we've got a mobster in caps. So is he going to have dialogue? Probably not. Is shoved. So again, you could reword this to get rid of is, because you've got passive, you've got past tense, which you don't really need. Takes away the others. The other's gun. I assume it means the mobster's gun. Again, making things as clear as possible so the reader can just enjoy, because I do enjoy this. Holy cow, it's been an hour already. I'm going to keep reading because I am enjoying it. Drop off at any time. I am recording this. Aldine already entered with Hunter earlier. See, those are the kind of things, I'm just reading your comment, that it makes sense to you, the writer, but to us, maybe visually, I don't know, maybe that, I mean, it makes sense. It would be maybe nice to know. All right. He takes away the other's gun and uses both weapons to move the mobster toward two trucks being unloaded. All right, toss your weapons aside, and I mean everybody. Most of them toss their guns. A couple try to raise them. Shoots them from their hands. He backs them away. That's what he wants to make a sucker out of me. Steals our booze. Gets my guns to destroy it, not without paying a steep price. Okay, so he kind of summarizes what we just saw, which is fine, but maybe he doesn't need to say all of that. Empties both guns into the unloaded cases, makes Swiss cheese of them in no time. He tosses the guns, picks up two more, repeats the process. So the cases, oh, the unloaded cases, the cases that have been unloaded. At first I read that as if they didn't have anything in them because they'd been unloaded. But these, the cases that they'd unloaded from the box. All right. Although, depending what was in them, he wouldn't really make Swiss cheese of them. Cases. Sorry, overanalyzing. Never mind. I'm going to keep going. Towel pulls him behind man. is on his third pair of Tommy guns. Shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon. The cops holds him back. All right, so he leads them in, and we never see him enter, but I guess we know that they're there. Let him work. Exhausted guns drops him. He ties his tie around an unbroken bottle, sets it on fire, and hurls a Molotov cocktail inside a truck. The truck goes up in flames. Would there be any explosion there, or just go up in flames? I don't know. And then he takes Reuben into custody. This feels like I would at the least put that on a separate line. It might get sort of lost there. We need some evidence. So this is a kind of thing, I mean, like you were saying, you could technically end the scene here, but it is important that we see something else going on there. Ooh, we got a day, yay. All right, so again, we're on page 17. I mean, I'm enjoying this. I'm just seeing now we've got 3 new people that we're being introduced to. The best money can buy is across the aisle. I mean, you could say sits across the aisle, stands, sits behind the bench, and get rid of the ises. Judge Reinhold, is that supposed to be, as we all know, there's an actor named Judge Reinhold, I believe, so maybe that would be a part that he would play. That'd be kind of funny if he did. People Facey is seated, okay. Sits in the gallery. He sits in the gallery, and yet, so he's on trial, but he's sitting in the gallery. I didn't know that's how it would work in a court. How does Judge Reinhold, every time I read that, I'm going to laugh. Pleads guilty with special circumstance. Reads a paper in front of him. Says here your client was overcome with a sudden fit of rage. He recently discovered prohibited alcohol being offered for sale around the city. Has been linked to, which is uncalled for numerous sources, including sale prohibited alcohol allegations that led to the rage that had him lose control and seek to destroy a major factor in the. All right, this is good. Maybe it could be said a tiny bit more succinctly, because we sort of know this already a little bit, but I'm just reading this, flopping through here. That's some big chunks of dialogue there. All right. To ADA Logan, Counselor, I see a deal. Did you really sign off on this hogwash? While this story cannot be more transparent, the owner of the warehouse has not been identified. It's difficult to make either the trespassing or the private property charges stick. Very well. You are to be remanded to the state correctional facility for a period of 1 year. You may elect to serve 6 months of that sentence and the other 6 months on parole, during which time you're not to consort with any person. Which do you prefer? Is that a trick question? Is that contempt? I'll take the hat. All right, maybe there's no shorter way to say all this, but I do like it. Is that a trick question? That's good. I'll take the half and half. So, again, is led. 6 months later, Sing Sing. I've got Sing Sing in one of my scripts. In fact, it's a movie called The Key that I wrote and directed several years ago. It's on Amazon Prime. Shameless plug. Look it up. The Key by Jack Schaberg on Amazon Prime. Doing very well in... don't read that. That is a secret message. Doing very well in the UK. And I take that tangent because one of the characters says something about going to Sing Sing. All right. Reuben walks out. Front gate. He takes a deep breath. Whiff of air somehow. It's fresh on the outside. Sitting right near the car. Okay, I won't say this anymore, but a car waits by the entrance or something. So get rid of your ises there. I promise not to say that anymore. is off. Reuben's almost remove since all items takes the posting palette. He wants me to know he's watching, making sure I don't consort with any of the crew, which I guess includes you. Nothing you know about that. Nothing he can do to keep me from relaying you assignments either. For the contracts, the smoke thins. What's Isaac want me to do? I'm not taking bets over the phone. All right, I assume that's supposed to be funny, and that is. I hear Clancy died, but I'm not cleaning up his crime. All right, that's funny. Nothing sissy for me, thanks. No cutting dope, no counting cash, no. He could just, at this point, he could just tear it up and throw it out the window. That would be funny too. Or he does, something obvious, but yeah, I like that. It's funny. How about sitting on an actress? What's she done? Not her old man. He's into Isaac for 50 G's. I would always just say capital G and then like S or something, but that reminds me of like G as in gee whiz. Took a lamb? Took a lamb. L-A-M-B? Is that short for something? Took a lamb about a month ago. He's into Isaac took a lamb. Oh, he's like on the lamb, maybe? And maybe it is just spelled L-A-M. Okay. He's supposed to contact the wife. No reason to think he will. But no reason to think he won't. But she might lead you to him. Petty stuff, if you ask me. I don't like having a smaller spot in the big picture, even if it's only for half a year. It's better than being left out of the picture altogether. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I know you've used picture, a big picture, a few times already, so I guess using it again, it'd be. I'd just say it'd be funny if by this time Quincy has folded the paper into a paper airplane and he sails it out the window. Wyatt. Oh my goodness, is this another new person? Sorry. They do have very memorable names, but still, this is a big cast. I'm not going to mention anything about Is. You'll be happy to know. Looks like it was ripped from a laundromat. Good visual there. He opens the envelope, puts his wallet on, and takes out the crossword. Post your nameplate on the desk and pin thing letters in reverse of the notes. That this tiny bit of real estate is claimed by parole. Okay, he's a. Looks like his blood type is gravy. Oh, see this. This is an excellent description for a novel. I don't know how you would convey that. I mean, that sounds like something for the casting director, which is fine, but that's I love that description. I possess your client's body and make it right or big, so I don't. I didn't possess your client's body. Who's he talking to? Is he talking to Reuben? I didn't. Your client. Isn't Wyatt his client? Hasley. Oh, he's on the phone. Sorry. Sits hunched over the desk. Okay, he's on the phone, but we don't know that. All right. Okay, that's clever. I like that. Pulls out a file, opens it Tuesdays at 10. Good. Sure, my schedule's open. Got out a job. It just said I needed some income. I'm pretty sure that's what a job is. I have savings or something they're going to tell me. Aren't going to tell me if you. Oh, I like that. Very clever. Very clever. They don't need to. I ain't going to argue. Look as best you can and don't leave the 5 boroughs sign here. Look as best you can. I'm not sure what that means. He's 7-letter word for bird. Oh, that's very clever. But I'm not I'm not Oh, checks the crossword, sorry. I'll buy that. Fills in the answer. All right, very clever, very clever. Swigs more coffee, spits it out again. On his desk, I guess. So, I've been reading this for quite a while, and I will continue reading it, but I don't know that I'm going to continue the live stream because people might get extremely bored. Maybe not. But I am recording this, so I don't know. Tell me in the chat if you want me to keep reading this live, or if you don't mind if I finish it on my own. I'll continue my commentary. I'll just do it offline and then make a file. So let me know, anyone in the chat, if anyone is watching. There appears to be people actually watching, which is kind of fun. But no, this is page 21. A lot has happened. There's actually a story, which is refreshing from some scripts I've read. I assume, I'm not going to jump ahead and say how many pages it is, but this maybe feels like moving into Act 2, a little early if it's 110 or 15 pages, but not necessarily. I should go back and see what happened on page 10. Is there kind of an inciting incident? Because I'm big on that sort of thing. The catalyst. Crime, this is something new. Someone wrong. Yeah, well, sort of, I guess. I mean, I don't see a ton of it, but it's very well written with the little things that I'm pointing out, which are just my... Any kind of overall opinion of what you read so far? Asked Robert Begley. Yeah, we'd be here all day, so you can stop. Thank you, Richard. Overall, I'm enjoying it. I think there's these little things that cause at least some temporary confusion. If Richard wasn't here live to answer them, I might be a little bit more confused, but I think I'd still be reading it. I think it's probably got enough humor to be called a gangster comedy. You never know till you see it and obviously hear the lines delivered and everything. But no, I'm definitely going to keep reading it, and I'm intrigued. I think there might be a few too many characters. I don't know if they're going to come back later, and if they don't, that's fine. That's kind of one thing I'm not concerned about, but I would say, do we really need all these characters? And maybe we do. But I'm going to make a note. I'm on page 22. I'm going to take a little break, and then I'll continue reading it, and I will put a file somewhere that you can access, Richard, and anyone else who wants to. Creative space, LOL. Sandy. All right. So I'm glad I got some. It's fun to see people in the chat and fun to see that people are watching it. I see no likes, which is disappointing. Just kidding. But I will pull the plug on this, but not because I don't like it. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this was useful to both Richard and the other people watching and reading along. And once I post this, I'll put a link somewhere for the rest of it that you guys can see. And yeah, thanks, Richard. I'm glad I'm reading this, and we'll see you around the internet. Right on.